What's soup with soup? Got them mounted. Bass shakers are now on the servo controlled pedal plate, which, if anybody hasn't seen the previous videos, there's a servo here that moves the entire pedal plate toward my legs and away from, depending on the G-forces coming from whatever game you're playing, to mimic how your body would react if you're pushing on the pedal. And that gives you the ability to feel exactly how fast the car is slowing down through your kneecap. But these shakers were not powerful enough to provide decent separation from that movement to if the ABS is activating. So that's what now these shakers are for. The Dayton BST1s. I was able to get them on these P2000s with simple 2020 rail running underneath the pedal plate, also lining up with the stock holes with two runners, and then those are tied in with some aluminum connection plates that I had laying around, which worked out really clean and real nice. Even these holes lined up. Got lucky with the standard, everything's in millimeters, so it hit perfectly. I think it's 100. The wiring's still ass, but it works. These two are going back to 200 watt amps up in the control unit. That still needs to be tidied up slightly. But let's see, inside here, I've got one 600 watt amp that powers the main bass shaker on the back of the rig. That is the upgraded 300 watt Dayton shaker. Then it's a 100 watter that, well, that explains why one of them stopped working yesterday. Must have stepped on the cable, it's loose. With these banana plugs that go into his 2-channel 100 watt amp, 50 watts a piece going to the bass shakers at the, which one is this? Oh, that's over there, yeah. The second one goes to the top of the seat and the bottom of the seat. And then this third one here heads over and powers both up on the pedal tray. Working great. I don't have any complaints. Looking at an upgrade though, because all of these take one signal out of this remote sound card, that's USB, and it's split from the single 2.1 channel into the 3 feeds for each amp I just showed. All of it's getting the same signal, and yes, some of the shakers are larger size than the smaller ones, so there's different frequency response that they can produce. The bigger one being able to produce much more lows. This one probably bound to about 10 hertz. The BST1, Dayton, probably in the 25 to 30 hertz range is where it really starts to shake. I think you can take a basic crossover, and this is meant for a car stereo, but it's meant for separating subwoofers, and I should be able to apply a low-pass filter from this audio signal through this embedded circuitry here, analog circuitry, to split the frequencies. Say you could split it right at 100 hertz. So one of these channels, there's one channel in, 2 channels out. The higher channel would only send out mostly above 100 hertz to a pair of shakers, and then send out mostly below 100 hertz to another shaker. The idea being send below 100 hertz to the shaker that could produce more of the lows, and send above 100 hertz to the shaker that could produce more of the higher frequencies. That way, it's more efficient in doing its job. And my suspicion is that's going to provide a more full spectrum coverage of the shaking, because say this lower shaker is trying to produce a 10 hertz signal, but included in that signal is very high frequency flutter that's on the top. it's a single moving plate in there that's controlled by a magnet, just like a speaker. Now a speaker, it's extremely light. So like these speaker cones here, or any of them I have, those over there, these guys here, that wafer, it has the ability, and since it's very low mass, it can move the air and shake up to 16,000 hertz. That's how you get the highs. And these tweeters are even smaller. That's why the speaker's small, because it needs to move super quick in order to produce those frequencies. The woofer is producing more low, and then the big ass one down there producing the biggest low. Same thing with these shakers, but because they're meant to produce vibration in larger massed objects, inside of that shaker is a steel plate that vibrates, and it's not like a speaker cone where it can produce those super high highs. And in addition to that, there's no way it's going to move at 10 hertz and also have the ability to produce the highs while it's moving at 10 hertz. So if you separate the frequencies and give the duty of the highs to one set and the duty of the lows to the other, I'm going to try it. I do think it's going to make a big difference. What else is going on? I had a little failure on the lateral surge traction loss system. One of those bolts is missing because the alignment of that ball screw wasn't very perfect, and over time, with it not being perfect, I deuced the bearing inside of that plate to a point where it was crickly, and I saw metal shavings popping out. So something exploded. Probably one of the balls decided to give way, and it caused. So I had to replace that bearing, which stopped spinning, and then realign, get that alignment more skookum with the old calibrated eyeball, which before it was horrible. Now at least it's reasonable. And it is on my mind to take this prototype, which now is working fantastically, like all pieces of it are freaking great, and start building version 2. The last piece before that happens, though, is finishing the belt tensioning system, which is taking apart at the moment, mainly because I'm swapping out the old servo for a newer servo drive that is more powerful with quicker response, and also reworking how the belts are attached to the main runner system that is a linear ball screw. This guy's got to get on here somehow, and then this system here with these springs will go up to the belt and take off up to the chest to do the pulling as that system slides up and down. The reason for the springs is to allow a little bit of ease in to the belt effect. That way it's not a complete massive tension gain all in one split second or microsecond. Yeah. What else? I think that's it for now. Those are the major things. Bass shakers and the frequency splitter. Later.